HRC emails are back with a vengeance, and that will be covered in a subsequent video because I believe the Tarmac recording is somehow tied into all of this. The reason behind this video is a careful analysis of two major articles, links to which I have provided in the description section. The tangled Gordian knot of corruption is almost impossible to comprehend. They don't even understand it, as it has been a free-for-all of deep state criminals who are never going to be prosecuted. This is the reason that carelessness was the rule and not the exception, because the 2016 election was rigged, just as every election, at least since after 1963 coup d'etat that assassinated JFK, was rigged, and there was no reason for them in their twisted, satanic, adrenochrome-addicted minds that the status quo would ever not be the status quo. It was going to be corruption, thievery, murder, human trafficking, satanic ritual sacrifices, drug smuggling, and endless wars until they murdered 90% of humans on Earth and owned the planet. Make no mistake, my friends, some of you may think that belief in spirits and demons and satanic forces is quaint or maybe unscientific. Well, if that is so, then explain to the rest of us how some people who have more muck and funny than they know what to do with want for nothing and have it in their power and have the resources, Rothschild and Soros, for example, to help people, instead are literally killing people, eating babies, and plotting the destruction of the entire planet. Explain that shit to me. And not for nothing, if I was God, I would have burnt them up a long time ago. Spontaneous human combustion. Let the fucking scientists explain that shit. This video is a repost of an original that broke the story on November 15th, 2016, that nobody reported and lots of people said was bullshit. See for yourself if it's bullshit. On November 15th, 2016, I recorded a video about a strange letter that was left in my mailbox without a stamp or return address. The letter claimed that there is a digital recording of the conversation between Bill Clinton and Loretta Lynch on Lynch's plane on the tarmac at Phoenix Airport. The writer alleged that he lost his pocket recorder and then subsequently retrieved it, only to stumble onto the accidentally made recording. Now, while the story about how the recording was made appears to be a smokescreen to throw the Hildebeest's hitmen off the track, Judicial Watch has verified that the NSA is in possession of the recording and has classified it as national security. Hello, this is Dave from Net4TruthUSA.com. It is June 5th, 2017. Welcome to another Coffee with Dave. This is number 97. And today, I have a bomb to drop. This is the atomic bomb on Bill Clinton and Loretta Lynch. Wait till you hear this. Back in November of last year, I received a letter anonymously in the mailbox after the mailman had deposited the mail, without a stamp, and a letter enclosed in it that basically alleged that someone had a recording, a digital recording of Bill Clinton and Loretta Lynch on the tarmac on the plane in Phoenix during their infamous meeting about golf and grandkids. It turns out that 7 months later, Judicial Watch subpoenas the Department of Justice and the National Security Agency for anything pertaining to Bill Clinton and Loretta Lynch's conversation on that plane. Memos, blah, 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 ad infinitum. It turns out that the National Security Agency has a recording that was made by digital cabin recorder aboard that plane. Now, that doesn't explain the letter that alleged that the recording was made on a lost tape recorder that was inadvertently left on voice-operated recording. But perhaps that bit of narrative was put in there so that the Clinton crime family could not readily identify who, in fact, leaked the recording. But now it turns out that there is a recording that the NSA has classified. Now, why is the NSA classifying this recording if it pertains to grandkids and golf courses? Your guess is as good as mine. But I'll tell you this vindicates what I've been saying all along, that my sources are absolutely, positively, 100% reliable. And if they tell me something in confidence, I can take it to the bank that it's true. So there is a recording of Bill Clinton and Loretta Lynch on the plane in Phoenix, made by a cabin digital recorder that someone had access to. Probably they figured, let's dump the tape. Who knows how they found it, how they ran across it, why they ran across it, and why I was the person that was chosen to release this information. Now, from November 15th of 2016 until present day, not one person on the internet, on the news, anywhere, said anything, alleged anything, hinted toward anything about this recording. Nothing. Absolutely not a damn thing. And it made me look like an idiot for a little while. But now, lo and behold, the recording has surfaced. NSA admits it, but they classified it. Now, why would they classify a conversation about grandkids and golf courses? That is a question that needs to be answered. I was in the service. I was in the Air Force. I had a top secret crypto SSIR clearance. And if you don't believe me, I just happen to have my DD-214 with me right here. Here it is right here. Let me see if I can find it here where it says top secret crypto. There it is. I don't know if you can see that. I don't know if you can see it. If you can read it. Can't read it. It says Crypto Equipment Specialist 3ABR 30650F-69 Electronic Communications and Crypto Equipment Systems Repairman Technician ECI 3065071. Okay, there it is. So I know from whence I speak. You don't classify conversations about golf courses and yoga lessons or grandchildren and stuff like that. That's not classified. That's not classified. You classify information for one reason and one reason only: national security or the protection of troops in the field or informants in the field behind enemy lines. That's why you classify things. Okay? So now we have Bill and Hillary Clinton using the security service, the classification system, to classify information about their crimes. That's another violation of national security for which they should be hanging by a tree. Hanging by a tree. And this, I guarantee you, as much crap as has been uncovered about Bill and Hillary Clinton and their cronies is a scratch of a scratch of a scratch of a scratch of the surface of the things they've done over the past 35 years since John F. Kennedy was assassinated. And these people have absolutely, positively got something to do with that too. I guarantee you. These people are criminals. And the only reason they've survived so long is because the American people have been asleep. And why have they been asleep? Because of the mainstream media bullshitting over the news, creating fake narratives and fake polls. Who's winning? Who's losing? Who's the top candidate? Who's the bottom candidate? Who's winning? Who's losing? Making self-fulfilling prophecies and creating bullshit news. Bullshit news. And in a previous video, I show CNN creating a demonstration that's supposed to have been carried out by Muslims protesting the attacks in London, on London Bridge. Fake news. Wake up, people. I'm telling you, you make this video go viral, because following me on this video, I'm going to play the previous 3 videos I did on this lynch recording that a lot of people say it doesn't exist. Let me hear the tape. Well, if I had the tape, I'd play the tape. But I don't have the tape. The NSA has the tape, and they classified the frickin' thing. So what does that tell you? It's going to come to the point. It's going to come to the point where one of 2 things happens. Practically the entire government of the United States is going to have to be put under arrest for treason. And if that happens, if that needs to happen, Donald Trump needs to call out the military and one day, boom, arrest them all. In one fell swoop, no warning, just like he did to Comey. He ain't no warning. Comey learned about, he got fired when they saw it on the news. So you're going to arrest congressmen, senators, people in high places in office all at once, simultaneously, without warning, put them all in prison. Arrest them all and charge them for treason, one or the other. Barring that, the only way we're going to get this country back is to pick up a weapon and go down and do it ourselves. This is Dave from net4truthusa.com. Thank you for watching. Pass this video along to anybody you know. Everybody you know should see this video, and the 3 ones that follow it. And you should go down to the links in the description and check out what I'm saying. I am not the only one saying this, but I said it 7 months ago. 7 months ago. Please support us through Patreon, PayPal, and GoFundMe. Links in the description. I have a book that I wrote a number of years ago. I'm selling autographed copies. Yeah. See how far I'm getting. Autographed copies for anyone who donates $100 or more through any one of those 3 venues. And it'll have covers coming up right after me. And then after that, the 3 previous videos, so you don't have to search and go down and click on the links. You'll see what I'm talking about. 7 months before this actually was verified, I got a letter saying that this tape existed. It wasn't exactly the way the person said it was captured, probably to throw the Hillary hit train off the track. But the recording does exist, and if it is released, it will be the end of the Democratic Party in the United States.
We've heard for 6 months now, 5 months, whatever, about Trump and collusion with the Russians and, the faking the election and rigging it, blah, blah, blah. And this whole time, we've got proof of the conversation that took place on the tarmac. And unbeknownst to just about everybody, why? Because the mainstream media doesn't do their jobs. But turns out that that plane that they were sitting on has a recording device installed, because it's a government plane. We'll get to that here in just a second. But their entire conversation is a matter of record. Now, why can't it be released? Let's find out. Because if you recall their conversation, we were told his grandkids in golf. So why can it not be released? Because it's classified. That certainly raises some suspicions now, doesn't it?
Hello, my name is Dave, and I went out to check my mail about an hour ago, and I'm going through it, and in the middle of all the junk, the shop. I used the really crappy compiler on the original video, so I recompiled it here with a better editor. Same video with the words and lips in sync. Hello, my name is Dave, and I went out to check my mail about an hour ago, and I'm going through it, and in the middle of all the junk, the ShopRite catalogs and all the flyers that they send out every day, this came in the mail. There is no stamp, no address, nothing. So I have to assume it was put there by someone other than the mailman. It smells of, I don't know, some kind of oil that was sprayed on it. And from what the letter says, I believe that is a forensic countermeasure. And this is very interesting. I don't know who else has a copy of this. I don't know where this came from. I assume that it came from one of my friends in law enforcement. And across the typewriting page, there's a red thing that says copy. It looks like it was put there by hand, by a red pen. Guess they didn't have a stamp. And let me read to you what this says, because if this is true, if this can be verified, this is going to put Bill Clinton and the director of the FBI and the head of Homeland Security, probably, and a bunch of other people in the Justice Department in prison. The letter reads, "To crooked Hillary Clinton, your worst nightmare has just begun. I am a frequent business flyer, and while traveling early in the morning of June 27, 2016, I noticed that when I got off the plane that my very expensive Nagra Mezzo digital recorder had apparently fallen out of my suit jacket vest pocket. The recorder contained a very important recording of a business meeting I had attended, and I needed it so my business partner could hear it and my secretary could make notes for an upcoming briefing. By the time I noticed it was missing from my suit jacket pocket, the plane had already taxied out of the terminal. I later called the airport, but they did not have it in their lost and found, and they told me the next destination was Phoenix Sky Harbor. I got on the next flight to Sky Harbor and was able to catch the plane that I was on as it was being refueled. I went to the ticket counter and asked if someone could look for it on the plane where I was sitting. I offered a $100 reward. Apparently, 20 minutes later, a food service employee shows up at the ticket desk with my recorder that he found wedged between the seat and the window. I thanked him and gave him two $50 bills. I got on the next plane to JFK and took a taxi home. I checked to see that the recording of the meeting was still there after charging the batteries, which had run down. The recording was there, and so I thought nothing else about it and went to sleep. The next morning, I copied the recording onto my PC and uploaded it to my Dropbox so my secretary could access it as soon as she got in. When my secretary called me later that day, she asked me what was recorded after the meeting. I told her that the meeting was the last thing I recorded. She said to play the recording past the meeting to the end and tell her if I needed what was there or not, and if not, she would delete it from the Dropbox. I played the recording, and it appeared that after the meeting, the recording stopped and started with my voice hailing a cab, a conversation in the cab, and then with voices I didn't recognize because of the background noise. It seemed that when I turned the recorder off at the meeting, I switched it to VOX mode instead, which explains the depleted battery charge. Okay. Curious as to who seemed to be arguing in the recording, I had a friend who owns a recording studio enhance the recording by removing the background noise and the conversations the recorder picked up from when I left the office until I got to the airport. Past that, the recorder picked up an unintelligible conversation that I was not a party to. The recording was then digitally amplified, and a male voice I immediately recognized as Bill Clinton, or someone who sounded exactly like him. The other female voice I did not recognize. The conversation, if you can call it that, was extremely interesting. I later learned that the plane I had just gotten off was the same plane that Loretta Lynch flew into Phoenix, Arizona, and the reports of Lynch meeting with the spouse of the target of an FBI investigation was posted all over social media. Needless to say, what I have here could put the nation's first man, along with the Loretta Lynch and you, in federal prison for a very long time. However, I will wait if, which you know is unlikely, you both walk into the Oval Office to drop this bombshell to everyone I can think of. I guess this went to Hillary Clinton because it addresses her as in the first person. They will get the link to my Dropbox, which is now hidden and encrypted, so that every news agency on the planet can use it. The Justice Department will have no choice but to take both of you out of the White House in shackles. Since this recording may eventually be released after the election, you can pay off your shills in the mainstream media to minimize the coverage of your arrest. At least you'll avoid the embarrassment of recorded history as the first woman president and the very first to be arrested in the Oval Office. Wow. Unbelievable. So this is my proposal. Lose the election, quote-unquote, fair and square, or win by fraud and be the nation's first presidential prisoners, because what is revealed on this recording will end you and all your friends forever. Please note, this letter was sent through several remailers, so its origin or author cannot be traced. There's no DNA, no fingerprints, no epithelial cells, and the letter was printed at Office Max on their demo laser printer. The paper that it is printed on and the envelope it came in contain no tool marks or forensics to trace or to prove its origin. All trace is completely absent. Don't waste the taxpayers' money trying to source this letter. I could have easily sent you a copy of the recording and demanded a sizable payoff to keep this under wraps. However, the risk is that I would end up like Vincent Foster. In any event, it would be blood money, and I don't need it. I would much rather be the one who finally put the nail in your coffin and to have a story to tell along with the proof to my grandchildren on my deathbed. So if you believe this to be a hoax, please, oh please, call my bluff. I love it when someone says, you're a bullshit artist, and I prove to them with hard evidence that I don't lie. Have a pleasant day. It may be the last one you have for a very long time. And it's signed, "We are anonymous. Expect us." Hey, if this letter is true, I guess they didn't need to, after they seen all the results, I guess they didn't need to release the letter in order to cinch the election. And if this recording came out along with the alleged videotape of Bill Clinton raping a 13-year-old that I haven't seen yet and haven't had any forensic evidence to prove that it actually exists, if this is true and the voices can be matched by, digital matching of voices, the voice print analysis is probably just as good as a fingerprint, somebody's going to jail. But like I said in a couple of previous videos, the FBI is, and from what I hear from my sources in the New York Police Department and the New York State Attorney General's office, the guys who have their hands on this information are chomping at the bit to go and get them wherever they are, put them in shackles, and read them the Miranda rights. However, all will be for naught if Obama pardons them. Now, he has a problem with that. He's screwed if he does, and he's screwed if he doesn't. And let me explain to you why. You can't pardon somebody for a crime they haven't even been accused of. If you do, that's like saying, "Hey, I know you committed this crime, but I forgive you." And if they're charged and he pardons them, that's just as good as a jury conviction, because he acknowledges that the evidence is so damn good against them that they would be convicted if they went to trial. And if he doesn't pardon them, Three might get pissed off. She'll go full Monty, and she'll take him out too, just like she did with Vincent Foster and about 50 other people. I mean, when you commit murder, my friends, if the FBI is this close to pinching you for the first one, you might as well do a whole bunch of them. I mean, that's the way these criminals think. That's their mentality. That's how they think. I might as well, because I'm screwed anyway. I'm screwed anyway. But if this comes out, if this is true, if this is not some bullshit that somebody dropped in my mailbox, which I don't think it is. I mean, I've had a couple of things like that happen to me before, just somebody dropping shit in my mailbox. And I got a lot of friends around here. I know all the cops around here. I know everybody around here. So, who knows? But it seems like it's credible to me. And whoever sent it took extraordinary steps to make sure that there was no fingerprints. Maybe I would try to turn it in and see who sent it. Who knows? Who knows what the story is? But it sounds like a credible story. Somebody traveling with a tape recorder drops it between his seat. It's on voice-activated mode. It doesn't pick up anything until somebody starts talking. And then somebody starts talking, lo and behold, it's Loretta Lynch and Bill Clinton talking about, what they talked about. It doesn't say. I like to get my hand on recording. I like to be the first one to release it, post it on the internet. But if it's true, we shall find out after the election, because, like I say, you cannot be pardoned for something you haven't even been charged for. It's a catch-22 for Barack Obama. Screwed if he does and screwed if he doesn't. So he's got to make up his mind what he wants to do, but he can't do anything until charges come through. And it's going to be hard for the FBI to leave that alone once Donald Trump is in office. Now, I saw an interview with Donald Trump on 60 Minutes, and where he said, and I'm paraphrasing, "I don't want to hurt them, they're good people." Bullshit, they're good people. They're probably the worst criminals that have ever set their foot in this country. And that remains to be seen. So let's see what comes of this and the alleged videotape of Bill Clinton committing rape. And I will be following the news media, not the news media, but the internet media, and I'll be in touch with my LEO people to see if anybody would fess up to dropping this thing in my mailbox. In the meantime, this is Dave from net4truthusa.com. Peace.
Hello, and welcome to another, apparently, exclusive report. A few months ago I reported on an anonymous letter which was dropped off in my mailbox, in which the writer claimed there was a recording of a conversation between Bill Clinton and Loretta Lynch on a private jet in Phoenix. If you have not seen the first video on this, please pause this video and go to the description section and click the top link to see it, then come back to this video. Otherwise what follows will probably not make sense. I will post a link in the first video so you can find your way back here if you lose your place. The recording was allegedly made by a high-end, very expensive digital recorder which was inadvertently left on voice-activated record that dropped out of a businessman's suit jacket pocket and fell between the seat and the passenger cabin wall. The businessman later retrieved his expensive recorder with the assistance of airport staff. His secretary, who was transcribing business minutes from that recording, questioned what was recorded after the recording of a business meeting. This part of the digital recording allegedly turned out to be Bill and Loretta talking about their grandchildren. And if you believe that they talked about their grandchildren, I have a bridge in Brooklyn. By the way this looks, I may have unwittingly bought that bridge. So I'm hoping that I can sell it to someone else. I don't want to get caught up in a second Bridgegate. But I digress. The following is the message I got on Snapchat, January 30th, 2017. On an account I set up with a pre-installed app when I got my phone a year ago. I never used that Snapchat account. From unknown sender Sam Samlam. To my Snapchat. This is regarding recording of Bill Clinton and Loretta Lynch on board plane. I am the one who dropped that letter off to you in your mailbox. I know you have an infrared camera in your driveway, so I approached from the blind side at 2 a.m. This recording was not captured by a lost recorder as claimed in the letter. It was part of a data dump done on passenger compartment surveillance camera DVR. That's all I know. I don't have it, and I have not heard it, but I assume the feds have it by now. Those with access to the equipment on board allegedly copied it onto a flash drive, allegedly to trap Bill off on a secret affair with Lynch and discovered something they didn't expect. I only knew about this because of friends of friends. Saw your video. Lots of views. By the way, the copy, scrawled in red pen is a forensic countermeasure. Rubber stamps are like fingerprints. This was the end of the Snapchat message. Why this person who dropped the letter and sent me that Snapchat chose me to release this information is beyond me. I have made a list of everyone who knows where I live who knows me, and those within an hour driving distance, and the list was short, only 35 people. Only a few of those use social media, and none of them delivered the original letter, because I called and asked them. They would have laughed at the joke if it was bullshit and I posted it. Nobody on the list has my Snapchat handle because I never even used the account once since I set it up. After getting this Snapchat message, I deleted the account and uninstalled the app from my phone. I don't need it. I like to have records of my chats. Not for them to go off into the bit bucket in the sky. I don't know if you can get a Snapchat handle from a phone number, but I am 100% certain that nobody on this planet has ever gotten a Snapchat from me. My phone where the Snapchat app was installed is encrypted, and the unlock password is an alphanumeric 16-digit password that makes no sense to anyone but me. If this anonymous sender was hoaxing me, I have no way to tell. People were certainly interested in the first video, over 283,000 views as of January 30th, 2017 and more comments than I could possibly answer or even read. If the original letter was a joke, then it is past the point where it would have been funny. What gives this the air of authenticity is the fact that this person, whoever he or she is, knows where I live, apparently knows me personally, and knew my Snapchat handle that I had to look up the password for because I haven't logged in for over a year. Also, the sender of the Snapchat uses the phrase forensic countermeasure, which I have used in conversation about computer forensics a number of times. This leads me to believe he picked up the phrase from me, or watches the TV series Criminal Minds like I do. The explanation that rubber stamps are like fingerprints is empirically true, and shows that the sender is astute in matters of crime investigations, and explains what a few comments asked. He didn't have a rubber stamp. He may have had one, but was smart enough to know not to use it. He also knew that soaking the letter in what smelled like WD-40 would foil any attempt at lifting fingerprints off the envelope, and he kept his DNA off the flap glue as well. On the flip side, what screams in my ear, bullshit, is the claim in the Snapchat message that now, the recording was, I assume, the audio portion of a passenger cabin video that only the technicians servicing the aircraft would have access to, and it wasn't from a lost and found, high-end digital audio recorder as claimed in the original letter. It is true that many private jets have cameras installed in the passenger compartment for security purposes, as do many commercial aircraft after 9/11. Perhaps the switch in the claimed source of this recording, if it does, in fact exist, may be to divert attention, or confuse those who may be trying to secure the recording or kill the person, like those who have investigated or knew too much about the Clintons in the past. In any event, I have no means by which to authenticate or debunk any of this. If the recording exists, I'm certain that by now, it must be in the hands of someone or some agency that the Clintons cannot intimidate. Whatever the case may be, such a recording is certainly not out of the realm of possibilities. Stranger things have certainly happened with the Clinton emails, such as the cloud backup utility that came bundled with Hillary's homebrew server that enabled the FBI to reconstruct her entire hard drive after she forensically wiped it with a program called BleachBit. Again, I am teetering on the brink. I can't not report this because it could be empirical fact that has no evidence or proof. If I didn't report it, and it, maybe years later, was revealed by another venue, I would have missed a great story. If it is true, then the courts or the feds, or some prosecutor has sealed this recording, barred its release, and is holding it for a future prosecution. In any event, we are not likely to hear it anytime soon. And if it is true, the prosecution that results, or should result from this crime, will be the least of the charges against the Clintons, in a long, long list of crimes they're obviously guilty of, and for which there is not enough time left in the universe for them to serve out their sentences. November 15, 2016, I received an anonymous letter delivered to my mailbox with no address or return address, which allegedly was sent by Anonymous, the hacker group. The anonymous letter claims to have digital recording of Bill Clinton and Loretta Lynch on her plane in the Phoenix airport. No one else has reported this, and insofar as I can tell, Hillary Clinton and I are the sole recipients of this mysterious missive. I scanned the letter and used a red filter in Photoshop to remove the handwritten copy scrawled on the page to see if it revealed some marking that could not be seen. It did not do anything unusual to the image. I also subjected the paper to ultraviolet light, and it fluoresced like white paper. I sent the original letter to the Phoenix FBI, and a copy to InfoWars' Alex Jones. I have heard nothing so far. The original video, hastily made in my living room just hours after I read it, went viral overnight with almost 400,000 views. I am still getting comments and phone calls. After careful analysis, I have come to the conclusion that there is a chance that this recording may exist as the letter alleges, but the source may not be a lost digital recorder, but a cabin microphone on the aircraft. Or perhaps there is an actual recording and it has been sent to WikiLeaks and is part of the 99% of Vault 7 that we have not seen yet. A bomb that is still in the B-52 bomb bay, ready to drop at Julian Assange's command. If not, then it seems to be a covert message or signal, released months before WikiLeaks Vault 7, to warn the Clintons that the writer knew about the surveillance of Donald Trump long before it was alleged, and in light of WikiLeaks Vault 7, this letter in the context of a covert message to the Hildebeest makes a bit more sense. This leads me to speculate that the letter was not meant to be a statement of fact, i.e., I recorded your conversation, but a warning about something else. Something even more nefarious, and that can only be known by the Hildebeest. Even if the claim about the recording was bogus, it could be another sort of message, such as, I know you did illegal surveillance on Donald Trump, how does it feel when someone knows and can prove it?
Hello, this is Dave from net4truthusa.com. It is March 3rd, 2017. Welcome to another Coffee with Dave. This is number 63, and I'm using my Bubba cup this morning. Sitting by the train station, waiting for Tony to come back. If you remember, before the coffee series started, I did an impromptu little thing in my living room about a letter I received in the mail anonymously after the mailman came. And I could send you back to the original video, which is, the links are down in the description, but I'll read this for you. A letter that came in the mail. I'll leave the thumbnails in the corner there so you can see, but I'll read this. I took the thing and I scanned it and I filtered out the red. It had copy written across it in red. I filtered that out with Photoshop. To Crooked Hillary Clinton, your worst nightmare has just begun. I am a frequent business flyer, and while traveling early in the morning of June 27, 2016, I noticed that when I got off the plane, that my very expensive Nagra Mezzo digital recorder had apparently fallen out of my suit jacket vest pocket. The recorder contained a very important recording of a business meeting I had attended, and I needed it so my business partner could hear it and my secretary could make notes for an upcoming briefing. By the time I noticed it was missing from my suit jacket pocket, the plane had already taxied out of the terminal. I later called the airport, but they did not have it in their lost and found, and they told me the next destination was Phoenix Sky Harbor. I got on the next flight to Sky Harbor and was able to catch the plane that I was on as it was being refueled. I went to the ticket counter and asked if someone could look for it on the plane where I was sitting. I offered a $100 reward. Approximately 20 minutes later, a food service employee shows up at the ticket desk with my recorder that he found wedged. I had to wait till that train passed. That he found wedged between the seat and the window. I thanked him and gave him two $50 bills. I got on the next plane to JFK and took a taxi home. I checked to see that the recording of the meeting was still there after changing the batteries, which had run down. The recording was there, and so I thought nothing else about it and went to sleep. The next morning, I copied the recording file onto my PC and uploaded it to my Dropbox so my secretary could access it as soon as she got in. When my secretary called me later that day, she asked me what was recorded after the meeting. I told her that the meeting was the last thing I recorded. She said to play the recording past the meeting to the end and tell her if I needed what was there or not, and if not, she would delete it from the Dropbox. I played the recording, and it appeared that after the meeting, the recording stopped and started with my voice hailing a cab, a conversation in the cab, and then with voices I didn't recognize because of the background noise. It seemed that when I turned the recorder off at the meeting, I switched it to VOX mode instead, which explains the depleted battery charge. Curious as to who seemed to be arguing in the recording, I had a friend who owns a recording studio enhance the recording by removing the background noise and all the conversations the recorders picked up from where I left the office until I got to the airport. Past that, the recorder picked up an unintelligible conversation that I was not a party to. The recording was then digitally amplified, and the male voice I immediately recognized as Bill Clinton or someone who sounded exactly like him. The other female voice I did not recognize. The conversation, if you can call it that, was extremely interesting. I later learned that the plane I just gotten off of was the same plane Loretta Lynch flew into Phoenix, Arizona, and the reports of Lynch meeting with the spouse of the target of an FBI investigation was posted all over social media. Needless to say, what I have here could put the nation's first man, along with Loretta Lynch and you, in federal prison for a very long time. However, I will wait until, if, which you know is unlikely, you both walk into the Oval Office to drop this bombshell to everyone I can think of. They will get the link to my Dropbox file, which is now hidden and encrypted, so that every news agency on the planet can use it. The Justice Department will have no choice but to take both of you out of the White House in shackles. Since this recording may eventually be released after the election, you can pay off your shills in the mainstream media to minimize the coverage of your arrest. At least you'll avoid the embarrassment of recorded history as the first woman president and the very first to be arrested in the Oval Office. So this is my proposal. Lose the election fair and square, in quotes. Or win by fraud and be the nation's first presidential prisoners. Because what is revealed on this recording will end you and all your friends forever. Please note, this letter was sent through several remailers, so its origin or author cannot be traced. There is no DNA, no fingerprints, no epithelial cells, and the letter was printed on an Office Max demo laser printer. The paper this is printed on and the envelope it came in contain no tool marks or forensics to trace or prove its origin. All trace is completely absent. Don't waste taxpayers' money trying to source this letter. I could have easily sent you a copy of the recording and demanded a sizable payoff to keep this under wraps. However, the risk is that I would end up like Vincent Foster. In any event, it would be blood money and I don't need it. I would much rather be the one who finally puts the nail in your coffin and have a story to tell along with the proof to my grandchildren on my deathbed. So, if you believe this to be a hoax, please, oh please, call my bluff. I love it when someone says you're a bullshit artist, and I prove to them with hard evidence that I don't lie. I have a pleasant day. It may be the last one you have for a very long time. And it's got the anonymous thing with their font also. That's one of the fonts that they use. How this letter ended up in my mailbox with no postage stamp, no address on it, is still a mystery to me. Obviously, the letter was sent to Hillary Clinton because it addresses her in the first person. Needless to say, it would be very interesting and very easy for this person to be traced to see who... That's all my camera's turning on as I turn the key on my car on. It would be interesting because, as a lot of people who commented said, it would be very easy to see who this person was by the flight logs. But he didn't actually fly on that plane. He flew on another plane and caught the plane. So he flew on a plane before Hillary Clinton. Yeah, I guess there would be a flight log there. But I think, after mulling this around since I got it, after thinking about this and saying to myself, what could possibly... It would be such a absolutely God-sent coincidence that this recording would exist. But I gave him that, and I said, okay, stranger things have happened. But I believe, after all of this, that no one anywhere has covered this story, had a copy of this letter or a copy of the recording. No alleged recording has ever been even, alleged, much less found. This thing is probably a covert message to the Clintons prior to the WikiLeaks. It is an allegation of accidental surveillance, if you want to call it that. It's accidental surveillance. I had to wait till them damn trains passed. It's accidental surveillance, if you can call it that, that a whole bunch of people are the subjects of NSA spying or CIA or FBI spying, whoever this alphabet organization was responsible for the wiretapping of Donald Trump. And prior to all of this, they were screaming, Russians, the Russians. The Russians did it. I seem to be fascinated by the coincidences that happen with this thing, because it is released at just the right time to say, stop this shit with the surveillance already, because I got something on you, implying that he knows. It kind of, I don't know, circumventing, beating around the bush. I don't know what to call it, but it's not, to me, means nothing. I mean, to you, it probably means it's a bunch of bullshit. But to them, it's probably a red flag saying, hey, I know what you're doing. Stop it already, because I'm going to drop the bomb on you. And sure enough, after all of this stuff with the Russians, WikiLeaks Vault 7 comes out and says that the NSA has the ability to hack somebody's computer, put some files on there that don't belong there, never was there, and hasn't, been put there by the owner, and have fingerprints, so to speak, digital fingerprints of the Russians, the Chinese, the Koreans, whoever you want. So I think this letter was a heads up to the Clintons to stop with the Russians already. Stop with the Russians already, because we know there's a thing that, and we know about the surveillance, and I know it's not the Russians, and I can do it to you. I really am at my wit's end with this thing, because I only got one little thing that was on a Snapchat account or something that I had on my phone. I never used it. I tested it once to see if it worked. That was a piece of shit. I never used it. I just took it off the screen and forgot about it. It was an installed app that came with the phone. I got a message on that thing related to it, and it was in the first video. I forgot what it said, and I'll just show a thumbnail in the corner. I'll show it to you. It really, to me, somebody obviously knows me, knows where I live, knows I have a YouTube account or social media account, and I don't know anybody that's even remotely connected to the Clintons. Now, there's a theory, if you saw the movie 6 Degrees of Separation, that any of us know somebody through 5 other people or 6 other people. Whether that theory is true or not has never been proven. I guess some mathematician, some genealogist or something can probably prove it mathematically. I really don't care. But this letter, if it wasn't a joke, I don't know what it is. Obviously, somebody knows me and went through a hell of a lot of trouble. They even sprayed it with something that smelled like the original. I sent it to Phoenix FBI, by the way. They sprayed the original paper with something that smelled like WD-40. I use WD-40 a lot, and when I opened the mailbox, I could smell it in the mailbox. So, barring a spectrographic analysis of what was on there, it smelled to me like lubricating oil. Anyway, and now I can understand that, because if you spray something with oil, it erases all the fingerprints, melt away, especially with WD-40, because it's a degreaser. So, why to make heads or tails of this thing, I don't know. A lot of people looked at it, a lot of people commented, and after reading their comments very carefully, some were stupid, but most of the comments were very well thought out. And said, if I was Hillary with all her resources, I could probably find this guy and put him under the grave with Vincent Foster, which, by the way, they found the body under the coffin, or under the vault that the coffin was in, where Vincent Foster was buried. So we have a continuing criminal enterprise in the Clintons that this letter probably shook them up. If she got this letter, this letter would, shit, it would shake me up if somebody had a recording of some of the shit I said. But I don't know. I really, at this point, I think I'm going to put this away somewhere. And when the truth of all of this nonsense that has been going on in the government for many, many years comes to the light of day, which I don't think is going to be in my lifetime, or yours either, because there is just too much obfuscation. There's too many people who have been compromised. There are too many people who are bribed, who are threatened. And a lot of people say, well, you can't keep a secret between more than two people. Oh, really? Really? Excuse me a minute. Put this back in my pocket. How did they keep the Manhattan Project secret? There was thousands of people working on that thing. So don't come and tell me how can you keep a secret. How does all these people keep a secret? The people in the Manhattan Project were sworn to secrecy. They had compartmentalized information. That was, some of them didn't, they knew what they were working on, but they didn't know the overall mission, so to speak. They knew they had a job to do. That's what they did. They didn't talk about it to anybody else. That's how you keep a secret. And everybody's heard of the Men in Black. People who see strange phenomenon are often visited by the Men in Black, and I'm not talking about the movie. There are those people, my friends. There are. And that letter, I believe, came to me because I knew somebody who knew somebody, or would put it out on social media. By the way, that video went crazy. It went like over almost 400,000 views. So what that is, what it was, what the intention of it was, can only be speculated upon. But I think it shook up Hillary Clinton pretty bad. I think it did. Because when that letter was sent to me, they were in the beginning stages. I think it was after the first debate. I have to check the date on the video. But in any event, thank God she did lose and Donald Trump won. And I'm not saying it was due to that letter, but I think a cacophony, a plethora, an interminable litany of things that have been exposed about Hillary Clinton caused her to lose the election. And why, with all of these things being exposed, some people still support her is absolutely mind-boggling. It is beyond me. It is beyond me. Even the allegation of such things, of even a tiny fraction of those things, would keep you from getting a job at McDonald's flipping burgers. And you want to make this woman a president of the United States? You gotta be out of your freaking mind. So with this and all of the other things that are happening that are not being covered by the mainstream media, we are the only sources of information that's left. The mainstream media is on its last legs, my friends. And the only way that we're going to put the last nail in the coffin before we start throwing dirt on it to keep it from stinking is to just not watch them anymore. If you have a cable box, get rid of it. Get a Dragon Box or a Tiger Scream. I'm going to be a Dragon Box dealer here shortly. I'm just working things out here. And they won't know what you're watching. Or get a pair of rabbit ears and an antenna and watch it. If you want to watch the news to see the weather, great. Go on your broadcast TV antenna and watch it that way. This way, they don't know you're watching. And they can't say to their advertising, this is advertisers how many people are watching, because they don't know. And they have to resort to their Chinese bots to bump up their hits on their social media sites, and they got caught at that. And then we will see a renaissance of the mainstream media. We will see the major corporations, NBC, CBS, blah, 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 all the, they'll go under, Chapter 11, sell off all of their resources, and go home with their tail between their legs, and then we'll start fresh. We'll get somebody like Alex Jones or Gary Franchi or anybody in there who's not politically motivated, who will tell it like it is. So anyway, that letter, I don't believe it's a hoax. I believe it's a heads up. It's a covert message. It's a beating around the bush message to Hillary Clinton and Bill Clinton to tell them something that either they already knew or suspected or may not have known or whatever, to frustrate their efforts. I'm glad somebody is doing that. I mean, we've got people banging around all this stuff about Pizzagate, and that's another story. Pizzagate is real. There are people who are engaged in human trafficking all around the world. That does exist. There's busts happening every day. We notice. To the extent that the Clintons are involved is a matter of proof. And proof being, when will you rest in the sufficiency of the evidence? How much evidence do you need? That's the question. How much evidence do you need? How much evidence do libtards need to convince them that, hey, I'm backing a crook? I don't know. I know that the sufficiency of the evidence for me happened a long time ago. The sufficiency of the evidence for you, I leave in the links in the description of every one of my videos. I leave them there for a reason. I leave those links there so you can back up what you believe and to give you sources for what I'm saying, that I'm not the only one saying this. And if you track that back, you go to this you can take it back to the original source. Take it back to the original source and see if that source is reliable. You might have something come out on the news today that I won't say anything about for 4 days because I want to make sure that it's true. I want to satisfy myself that what I'm telling you is as close to the truth as possible and as reliable as it gets. I have limited resources. I don't have the resources of news agencies. I'm not an investigative reporter. I'm not going to go fly out to Arkansas to get Vincent Foster's body, take pictures, none of that. I want to see who's reporting, the consistency of the reporting across the board, whether anything is added or deleted from the original story. And that's how I decide whether or not it is true or false. The matter of this letter, I believe, is a covert message to Hillary Clinton about the surveillance that they were doing on Donald Trump even before he got in the election. Now, I don't know, maybe they got a seance. Maybe she's talking to Eleanor Roosevelt or something. She's doing a crystal ball spirit cooking type thing, and it came to her that Donald Trump is going to be running. But it came out, has been released, has been alleged that she has been surveilling Donald Trump even before he got into the race. You figure that one out. This is Dave from net4truthusa.com. If you like these videos, please support us. There's Patreon, GoFundMe, and PayPal links in the description. And pass this along to everybody you know. Thank you very much for watching. God bless America. It is now June 1st, 2018. Hello, this is Dave from Net4Truth USA. It is June 1st, 2018. Now you see the history of this thing, and I highly suggest that you look at my 2 prior videos, especially the live stream with Stony, Stone, and myself. The recording does exist. The pilot or the engineer, whoever got that recording, I believe it was the pilot, dropped that recording to several anons before he took it to Reuters. He said, let me give this is assumption, okay, assumption. But assumptions fit what actually happened and what Stony, Stone, and myself know to be true. He gave that audio recording, copies of it, to several anons before he took it to Reuters. The anons probably said, I want to drop it. Not yet anyway. And he insisted to try to get this thing out into the mainstream media, which was insane, if you ask me. And he took it to Reuters, and a couple of days later, he committed suicide. Go figure. Haven't heard from him anything since. No investigation, no autopsy. Haven't heard. We don't know. Could be he got 2 bullets in the back of the head. In any event, the recording does exist. Verified. Verified as far as possible that we could verify it. And if you watch the live stream with Stony, Stone, and myself, and the video following it, the links will be down in the description. The previous links to the original videos are dead because the channel has been nixed. Okay? But I'm reposting it because this is crucial. Crucial. It is alleged that Loretta Lynch was promised a Supreme Court position if she would let the Hildebeest slide on the email thing. Don't call it an investigation, call it a matter. Let it slip away until she becomes president, and then she can't be prosecuted, and then she can pardon all the criminals that are around her and hide all the emails that are on the DNC servers that they refuse to give to the FBI, which contain the traffic between her and Benghazi. All of this ties together. All of this corruption is all meshed together. It's the big picture, folks. It's coming. It's like one of those transparencies that get lit from the back. You know, as the light gets brighter, as the sun comes up, that transparency, you might not know what it is in the beginning, but when it comes up and you see it behind you, you, oh, wow. This is what it is. The light is being shined upon all this stuff. And with the pardon of Dinesh D'Souza and Bergorovich of Chicago, oh my God. Talking about keeping your friends close and your enemies closer. Oh my God. This is brilliant. This is Mensa out the window. Are you kidding me? when she goes down, she's not going to go down by herself. She's going down with the whole cabal. The whole ball of wax, all at once. And that includes some foreign actors as well. Because when the currency changes, they're going to be shit out of luck. This is Dave from Net4 Truth USA. Thank you very much for watching. Keep America great again. Make America great again. And don't lose faith. I know we've been saying, she's done, she's done, she's done. She's done. Trust me. Please subscribe to our backup channel, Whirlwind Revolt. Listen to chapters from my new book, Work in Progress, by the same title. The link is in the description section.